You're listening to TalkTainmentRadio.com.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
Hello. Welcome to Talktainment Radio, and you're listening to Stairway to Heaven with your host, Dr. Bass Claude Smith, and my guest is Minister Paul Robinson, and he's also a member of the Five Stars Harmony, one of the lead singers. And we also like to say that our subject tonight is whatever happened to the Quartet Union, and this should be a dynamite, awful discussion. We're all wondering what happened to the union. I mean, there was a lot of local gospel groups and professional groups, and the union was spread out from Columbus, Cleveland, Ohio, Dayton, and Cincinnati, and Akron, and it was a beautiful, booming thing. As I say, my guest is Mr. Paul, and I said, hello, Paul, how are you doing?
Doing good, Brother Lewis. It's good to be here, and I'm looking forward to our discussion.
I am too. Well, before we get on, let's get some shout outs out there. Like I said, Stairway to Heaven is brought to you by the Keys of Harmony and Praise Temple. And my shout outs go to my daughter, Kimberly, and Christian Capello, Core Lab, Will Day, the West family, and my partner, Joe. And especially a big shout out to my wife, Pat, and I'm asking y'all for her prayers and everything.
Yes.
So we'll let you know the information with how she's doing and everything. And like I said, we're gonna get in our discussion. Paul, you have anything to say?
Everything's good. Everything's real good. I wanted to give a couple quick shout outs though to my church, Praise Temple Community Church. And, pray everybody's doing extremely well there. And I want to give a shout out to a guy named Ken Riley, who's going to finally be inducted into the National Football League Hall of Fame. He's former Cincinnati Bengal defensive back, and he's also one of my fraternity brothers. But he's being inducted posthumously, but, I'm really happy for Ken and for his family.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. And I hope the Bengals do good this year. I'm looking forward to it. But as I say, this is a big question, and it's been on my mind. I know it's been on Paul's been on your mind. Yeah, whatever happened to the Quartet Union? Where is everybody?
Yeah.
How can we get this union back together? How we can get the groups to take part in it?
Well, that's a real good question, Louis, because at one time the Quartet Union was very, very strong. As a matter of fact, when I came back and started singing in the mid to late 70s, it wasn't as strong as it was before that, like when my dad and, Uncle Joe were with the Keys of Harmony and guys from the, Gospel Clouds of Joy, and the original Five Stars. As a matter of fact, and just a little bit of history, the Five Star Harmonizers was one of the first group, if not the first group in the state of Ohio to be a part of the National Quartet Union. Arthur Dennis was the first president of the Ohio Quartet Union and reported up to the National, and actually was appointed, if you will, by Lou Rawls, who was a member of the Quartet Union back in those days. But it was, I know the National Quartet was founded by R.H. Harris, who I had the pleasure of meeting before he passed. But during those days, just about everybody, whether you were on the road or whether you were a local group, you were part of the National Quartet Unions. It was very powerful.
Yes, I remember that union because I when I was with the Mighty Gospel Travelers at the time from Cincinnati, they was part of that union also. It was it was from Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus. I believe it was called the Foursquare Convention or something like that. And I think it was part of that. Yeah, it was part of that union here. I believe it was part of that union here too.
tell you someone else who was a part of that union out of Toledo, Ohio, Brother Tom Noble, who was the founder and also the manager of the Pilgrim Wonders, who were also a part of the National Quartet Union. And Tom, even after his group became professional group, and they had that big hit with The Time Is Now.
Right.
Even after that, Tom stayed in the union, and he used to work with local groups as well and take them on as part of the package, around the country. And so he was a big proponent of the union. I believe he became the second president of the union here in Ohio. So, the influence of the National Quartet Union back in those days was very, very strong.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember the Pilgrim Wonders when we went to Akron, Ohio. I think the Travelers went up there too when they had that monthly meeting, and that's what I remember that because I was there with them. I was in high school. Okay, I was in high school when they was part of that union. Yeah, I was in high school when they was part of that union, and I was in my last year of school, and I stayed with them with the Travelers until I went to the Army, and then I came back. Somebody else didn't. They were still part of that union when I got out. Yeah. So
it's like every first Sunday, I eventually became vice president and president of the union here in Columbus, and we used to reserve every first Sunday. You might remember this, Louis, for Quartet Day for the national quartets, and we would travel to different cities. So Akron or Cleveland, Cincinnati, Toledo, they would send a representative to Columbus, and then Columbus would send a representative, to Cincinnati or wherever the next quartet, first Sunday quartet program was going to be. So we would rotate, the different members of the quartet union to go and support. And I think that's a real important word. We actually used to support not only other, professional quartet groups, but also the local groups to help raise money for their local treasures or to put on other programs. So there were a lot of benefits to the union back in those days.
Yeah, yes, I do remember that there were a lot of groups and a lot of members. I remember all of that because I really, after I came back from the service, it had really, to me, it got bigger and bigger and got stronger. And I was surprised about it when it got stronger because I remember, I know the Mighty Travelers, Gospel Travelers was part of it. Pilgrim Wonders, I remember, wasn't it Spiritual Tornadoes and Five Stars? Yeah, they was all part of that.
Yeah, Gospel Clouds.
Yeah, I remember Gospel Clouds. Yeah, the Gospel Clouds.
Part of it. The Ohio Trumpeters, remember Matty Patrick and her group?
I remember that.
The Lyric Supremes, they were big in a part of the union, because we didn't have a lot of female groups at that time. So the Ohio Trumpeters and the Lyric Supremes, they were kind of a novelty to have in the union. Of course, there were additional women groups that were added to the union as we went forward. And some people may not know, but there were also soloists who were also a part of the union as well. So
yeah, I remember. I don't remember none of the soloists that was there, but I know it. I know that they were really getting. The union was real nice. And another thing I found that I learned. I hope you remember this. Remember when we had programs or something, they wouldn't let nobody else come in and have a program that day. They blocked that. They didn't care who you were.
That's right.
You could bring T.D. Jackson here to do a church anniversary. Yeah. He could not come to. He had to come after that Sunday.
Yeah, and actually he had to come through the union. So the union president in that city would have to sanction that program, or else the groups couldn't even sing on the program. I remember there used to be a rule that the national quartet groups that were members could not even sing on open door programs, and they relaxed that rule over time, so it could be like one or two, but you couldn't, if you were a non-member of the union, you couldn't go to the union and have all the union groups come and be on your open door program. It just was not permissible.
Yeah, I remember that. How well they did in Cincinnati too. They did that in Cincinnati. Yeah. They wouldn't let no. They did the same thing. They wouldn't let nobody. They wouldn't sing on that program on that first Sunday because every first Sunday, like you said. Because when y'all came to Cincinnati, that was it. Because it was a big boom. They was even on the when they came to Cincinnati, they was on WCIN on Sunday mornings to let the people know that the groups were here.
Yeah. Those used to be big programs. I mean, they would pack the house on those first Sunday programs. It was huge. And, of course, the people were anticipating, the first Sunday, and the groups were anxious. And I think one of the benefits about being in a union at that time was that if you were part of the union, you would get exposure to different, people that wouldn't ordinarily come and see you if you were just kind of promoting yourself on your own. So it really helped to bring some of the newer groups up as they were, just getting started, to be associated with some of the groups that really had a bigger brand or, a bigger name, because they would come out to hear, of course, the brand name groups or the professional groups, but then they get to hear your group as well because you'd be a part of that package.
Yeah, and I do remember one time, like doing like anniversaries.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had an anniversary, all the groups were there on that support that anniversary. And I remember that'd be jam-packed. If the Stars had 5 Star Heart had an anniversary, every group was there.
Yes.
That was but you miss a lot. It's a lot of stuff missing, and hopefully hopefully we can get this thing back started again.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to that. So if we can get things started, because even that people know where the groups were.
Right.
They would know where they would announce on a program. They would know where the groups were at.
Yeah.
But now, Facebook is fine, but they still need a voice out there to tell them where you at or where I'm at or everybody else is at, and they would know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because but the way the things are, it wasn't no cutthroat. Wasn't no cutthroat thing. I'm gonna stab you in your back. I'll take half your crowd, and you take half my crowd.
Yeah.
That was out.
Yeah. Actually, we tended to work together as a union, as a group, so that we would help to uplift and promote other groups. Again, most local groups, particularly if you fancy yourself as being a good group, most groups aspire to actually get on the road and either become a pro group or semi-pro group if you're working just the weekends. And so it was important to have other groups when you go into different cities that would actually support you and help you, when you get there. I can also remember time there were groups that were on the road, and if their car would break down or if they had a problem or an issue, they could call the local president or the local, union and get some help. Mm-hmm. And of course, back in those days weren't, people didn't have a whole lot of money. I mean, we would pile up in a car or 2 cars to get from program to program. So if you had an unanticipated, incident like a flat tire or your engine overheated or whatever, that could be pretty serious dollars, and it was good to be able to at least call somebody and see if they could help you out.
Yeah, I remember that, because I remember one time that when I was with the Gospel Traveler, we went somewhere when one of the cars had broke down, and the rest of the group came home, and then half of us had to stay here and wait till that car got fixed. It was ready to go. Yeah. And we had people to help us out. Yeah. But I'm looking forward that maybe one day by us doing this broadcast and people are seeing here, we can get this union back together. And this is that's what we're asking. Let everybody listen. We're trying to, the way me and Brother Paul is talking now about this quartet union, I believe, he can correct me if he will. This is like a shout out, call out to all groups to get together and rebuild this thing. and so it won't. So we can build this back up. I mean, everybody got their thing. Now the quartets need to come back and get their thing back together. I mean, regardless, this is a new branch, this new season, and we need. And then another thing is me to put more manpower back into the church, because a lot, that could happen too. Yeah. So like we said, please, if while you listen to us, please get us to start this quartet union. You can give me a call at 614-817-5588, and we can sit down and discuss that. You call Minister Paul. You give me your phone number.
Yep, at 419-215-5768.
Yeah, and just give us a call. We can talk about this. Maybe get some things together about this union. Yeah. Also, let me also say something. Something good's coming up next month. Yes, it is beautiful. It's 5-star Harmonizer, 69th anniversary North and South Gospel Fest, and we got some groups from the South and groups from the North. Because I'm gonna let Brother Paul explain that.
Yeah, we've got several groups, and as you mentioned, Brother Lewis, this is the 69th consecutive year that we've done this. It's kind of a fellowship between our brethren out of Huntsville, Alabama, and the groups here in Columbus, Ohio. And we forged this relationship. Well, my dad, my great uncle, they all started this back in the late 50s, early 60s. And so we've been carrying on that tradition ever since. But yeah, we're going to be at Praise Temple Community Church at 2618 Bethesda Avenue here in Columbus, Ohio. We're going to have the Curtis Singers from Huntsville. We're going to have the Believers in Christ from Huntsville, Herman McCauley from Huntsville, and of course the 5 Stars will be a part of that package, as well as God's Angels, which is a very superb young mime group. So we'd like to ask all of you to come out and support us and enjoy yourself on August the 13th, second Sunday in August.
Yeah, that is going to be a good show. That's going to be a good gospel show. I was there last year. I believe the Keys of Harmony was part of that last year.
That's correct.
Yeah, we were part of that last year, but this year, due to a lot of illnesses that came up within the group, we got to step back or go back in the trances and rebuild again. So once you try to get started and go back doing what you're doing, there's always someone to come and pull your coat and with the illness, and then you got to sit back. We're going to try to get the voices back together.
Yes.
Also, let me say this. We're also praying for Brother Joe Woods Jr. and Evangelist Patricia Smith. We hope that, asking you prayers for them too, that they may get stronger, get stronger, so they can continue to do what they got. They got a lot of work to do. But getting back to this union getting back to this quartet union, I am looking forward that when we get back, I believe we hope we have one great big bang of a program.
And you asked a very interesting question, Louis, earlier, and that's how do we make this work? And I think one of the first things we have to do is, you mentioned illness and sickness, and as you might imagine, a lot of the folks that used to be a part of that union, they've moved on, or they're elderly, or that circle of people that were in the forefront of putting all this together, they're just not there anymore. So we really need to, in my opinion, start to find younger people, these young singers, these young musicians, even these young soloists who are interested in working together as a unit, as opposed to everybody just kind of doing their own thing. And I think we need to find out what a union would look like in today's time, as opposed to our time, which has been. I'm not going to tell everybody how old I am.
I'm not either.
But it's our time has really come, and it's if not past, it's certainly on its way out. So we need young. If you're going to look at putting something together that's going to last for a while, we need to look towards the future and look at some of these young folks, and let's find out what a union would mean to them. Maybe they wouldn't even call it a union. Maybe they would call it something else, a collective or a consortium of musicians or whatever the case may be. But let's get those folks excited about doing something like that again. And there's a lot of good young groups out there with all this good technology. You'd be surprised at the amount of product these young groups are putting out. And again, just like when we were young, they're doing that so that they can try to take that next step, move up to that next level from what we traditionally call a local quartet group to at least a traveling quartet group, or get a contract and become a quote unquote a professional quartet group. We have stellar, I don't know if we have stellar award winning quartet groups in Columbus, but we certainly have stellar award nominated groups right here in Columbus, Ohio. And I believe Men of God's Heart may have actually won the stellar, Walter and Ron and you guys, you correct me if I'm wrong down the road. But my point is, we've got great talent.
Right.
Great talent, and it would be great for those folks to kind of pull things together and try to build up something that would really represent the gospel community, not only here locally, but again statewide and even nationally. So, that's kind of my vision for where I hope some of this can go.
Yeah, I hope. That would be nice to bring the younger folk into this and continue it on, because, like as you said before, there's a lot of young groups out there that's hungry, wants to get out there and show to people what they can do, and we need to give them that chance to do that. And I'm willing, if you're willing, to give them a helping hand. I can try to do it here at the station with whatever they got going on, and give them a chance. People get a chance to hear the recording that they got out, because most of our young, I'm gonna say all across the nation, this is my thing. All across, there's a lot of local groups that have stuff out that don't get the chance, get no airtime, and it would be nice. Start here in Ohio and get all these local young groups that got some out on CD or whatever they got. Get their music played so people can hear their music and hear what they sound like. This will be like a foot in the door for them, and I believe that this could happen.
Yeah, and it's got to start somewhere, right? And why not start here? And maybe think a little bit out of the box. When I first started singing quartet, actually, I used to sing in a choir as well as in a quartet group. And you see the evolution of what kind of art is now a part of church ministry. And by that I mean, when I first started, there was no thought that you would have mime or dancing of any real kind in the church. And I remember the first time my church put on a mime performance, we stood up and apologized to those who might be offended. Now it's so normalized that people kind of anticipate and expect, other forms of art other than just singing and musicians and so on and so forth. And so I think if you're going to do a union, you need to think outside of the box and actually invite that art form into whatever the union is going to be. And again, look forward. Maybe there would be a division inside of a union where we talked about production, like what we're doing here today. Maybe a division that talked about marketing. Right. The kinds of things that for whatever reason, we just did not grasp on when we were younger. But, these kids today, they're ready for that. They all don't necessarily need to be singers and musicians. Some of them actually want to be promoters and work behind the scenes and help to make programs and other kinds of events happen. And I think the union should have that kind of conversation with every facet of those who might want to be a part of something like that. Yeah. And I think there's interest out there.
Well, let me say this, and not only in quartets, but like you said, you started the choir first. Some of these choirs might want to get in that union.
Absolutely.
They might want to get in that union, and they want to get in that union, and maybe we can give them a chance, because sure. All choirs are not all bad. I mean, you and I split the quartet, but and having a quartet, and some of the choir directors and choir members say, well, hey, what about us? So I'm gonna put it out there. We're not going to forget you, and we're going to try to get you in it if you wish to join, because you got some, someone want to get in, someone I don't want to get in. It's too well. Really, if you try it and see how it is, you might find out, well, hey, this is good.
Sure.
That means that, both quartets and choirs can work together. Some of the choirs can be on some of the quartets' anniversaries, some of the quartets can be on some of the choirs' anniversaries. Just let everybody know that we can work together. Yeah. And I believe it'll be a musical thing. Maybe one day this thing get out, we can probably start doing summer around through a big gospel fest on the outside.
Absolutely. Because
I have a goal. I'm going to tell you what my goal is. And I really want to do it. But I put it down. I stopped it. Didn't think about it. But since we talked about it's coming back to me. I would like to give a big gospel fest right down here at Commons Park. A big gospel. I mean, choirs and quartets, dances, and everything. They have a big 2 day, Saturday and Sunday gospel, all day Saturday and all day Sunday.
I think that'd be great. And just listening to even our part of the conversation, again, I'd like to get other younger people, involved in this, but, that helps to break down walls. And that's one of the things I've never really liked about how we segment our music, our talents, our art, and so that everybody has its own individual silo. I would like to get rid of all that division and bring everybody, together so that we could all work for one common good, and that is to produce and be the best possible quartet group or best possible choir or mime group that we can be, and get support, across every section of, whatever that market might be for those who enjoy, good gospel music, or here's a word people probably don't like to use, but good gospel entertainment. Because, we like to enjoy ourselves as well as anybody else. And again, I think these people put in a lot of time and effort so that they can reach a certain level of excellence. And I think once they do that, they know that people are attracted to it, they'll support it, and then you can get your message out, you can get your ministry out to those who, are supportive and will come out and, be a part of whatever greater audience you want to have.
Yeah, that does sounds beautiful. That sounds good, and I would like to see that happen. If we can get this, started with the young folks, get them started. Say, hey, come here, young man or young lady. Heard you could sing and do this and that. Why don't we're gonna give you a chance and let you show the people what you got. We hear everybody, all the top stars. They always well known. They can come through here. We let them come through here and do some things in here, which, we know we can't leave them out because they going to want to. And then, too, they might want, then maybe we can get those top gospel stars involved to get into it, rejoin again, and maybe just let the world know, hey, this is what we got, and this is what we, putting together. Because I know that the R&B circuit has their own union. So why not let gospel restart their union, and we can get together. So so we looking forward to that. Well, my friends, this is time up for U2 TV for me and Minister Paul, and we'd like to say, hey, Remember, mine's nothing but the garden. What you put it grows. And remember us. Have a good day.